Good evening, ladies and germs, and welcome to another episode of From the Collection with your host and the record man, that's me, and my trusty sidekick, Silky, here. Do you have any shout-outs today?
Oh, shout out to my friends Skylar Saliberios and Rosalia Rigo.
Okay,
I don't know if they have a channel.
Tonight's topic
Search them up.
Tonight's topic of conversation is, let's see the sign, Sil. Top 10 Solo Beatles albums.
Was
Okay.
it upside down?
Without any further ado, we'll start with number 10. Here you go. Sil, do the honors. John Lennon's Mind Games. This could have gone either way for me, but it's Mind Games. It's a very underrated album, stripped down, kind of barren type sound to it. This was right at the beginning of his lost weekend, when the 2 years that he was away from Yoko, and he went to LA and had that lost weekend with Harry Nilsson and Ringo and all the fellas. Anyway, it's a great title track, and a lot of great songs like Out of the Blue. It's a classic John song that should have been a huge hit, but wasn't. Okay, next. Drop it. All right, number 9. Sil, do the honors. Ringo Starr's Goodnight Vienna. It's a very criminally underrated album. A lot of people talk about his album Ringo, the just self-titled Ringo, but this is even a superior album. I always loved the song Goodnight Vienna by John Lennon. It's a genius song, and it's got a lot of different people at the time. Elton John's on it. The No No song was written by Hoyt Axton, which played the father in the Gremlins movie. Okay, but you can put it down. Underrated, great Ringo album. It stands with the best of them. Okay, next, the honors.
God, this one's big.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a record.
Because it's a 3-record set. Well, I mean, actually, it's 2 records plus the third LP, which is the Apple Jam, which was a useless disc. Anyway, it's like the worst jam ever. So a lot of people would put this higher. They say this was George Harrison's masterpiece, as all the songs that he was writing during the Beatles, and he recorded them in one grand masterpiece explosion. But it was always burdened, I felt, by Phil Spector's overwrought and muddy,
It's empty on the
fuzzy
back this time.
production. Okay, you can drop it. And great songs, bad production, and that's all I have to say about it. It could have been higher with better, clearer production. Maybe one of these days, Giles Martin or somebody will remix it. That'd be great to hear what it sounds like. Next, Paul McCartney's Tug of War, personal favorite of mine. It's
Do we have
underrated.
But don't we have like a songbook of this for the piano?
No, we do have a songbook of this.
Can I show it to them?
Uh,
I'm gonna show it to them.
Yeah.
Well, we're back, and this is the songbook. It seems to be Daddy, would you tell me how old this is? When did you get it?
I got it when I was like 12 years old, so that was a long, long time ago.
Would you think it would be worth more now?
It's about worth about $3 or $4.
Well, how much did you buy it for?
I don't know, whatever it says on the.
Do you still have the tag?
No. Anyway, it's getting back to Tug of War. It's a very underrated album. It was an album that Paul released directly after John Lennon's unfortunate, tragic assassination, and I think it's his last truly great album that he released. It's a bold statement, but I have to say it is. All right, next. Yeah, next one is a lot of people would have higher in the list, but this has never been one of my favorite albums. Okay, pull it up still. Band on the Run. People say that this is Paul's masterpiece, but I say that he has finer albums than this. I agree it's a great album, but I don't know if it's played out or what. But
Didn't you say it was only solo? Because it seems like more people worked on this.
Good point, but it's solo because he's solo from the Beatles. He was recording with his band Wings. You're correct. It's his band Wings, but Wings is considered solo Beatles because it's outside of the Beatles matrix, if you will. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's played out. Maybe you've heard the song a million times. I mean,
to all those people who had the same question, that's your answer.
Well, yeah. There's only so many times you can hear Jet in your life. All right. Next. All right. Next is two right here. It's the same album, but different versions. Here.
All right. So.
Red Rose Speedway.
Wait, you hold this. Wait, I want to
I'll
hold
hold this one. You can hold this one. Red Rose Speedway. Now this is the original. The one that I'm holding is the original release of Red Rose Speedway. And what Silky's holding.
It's bigger.
Something that I never even knew is that originally.
It's still in its sleeve.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be a double album, and they released this. I guess was last year or the year before.
Well, it is big.
As the originally conceived double album. Now,
it is double album. Look.
Now, this is incredible. I always loved Red Rose Speedway, but I don't know. This is what it was, the original conception of it, which was excellent. They should have done it. Anyway, I recommend this if nobody's heard this yet.
Incredible.
And it has my favorite Paul McCartney
It
solo
is
song,
double.
which is My Love, which is as good as any Beatles song. Great solo on that, too. Late Henry McCulloch. All right, next.
It's sort of a weird texture.
Yeah. This way.
Then why is this one a different way?
Well, this is the classic John Lennon's Imagine. A lot of people might have this.
Wait, this is Imagine?
Yes, Imagine album.
This is Imagine?
Yeah, it's the song Imagine. You know.
Yay, I know.
So, yeah, a lot of people would maybe have this higher, but again, I have it lower because of the Spectre production on this. I don't know if there's something a little. I mean, it's a classic. Of course, it's a classic. It's number 3 best solo album, but it's just not my number 1. Even though Imagine might be my favorite Lennon song, like everybody else. All right, next.
I'm not done with my zoom in. If you couldn't read that before.
Next is McCartney, Paul's first solo album. It's funky. It's maybe one of the most influential records. How many billions of singer-songwriters and bands have come up with the same sound as he did. Talk about a lone shot. Talk about ahead of his time.
Oh, you're still using that.
McCartney was visionary in how stripped down this album.
Can we stop for a second?
Okay, next.
It
Number
gave me
2. We're down to the last 2.
2?
We're down to the last 2 records. All right. Number 2. Ram. My favorite McCartney album. It's always been.
You hold one.
And this one is. I just wanted to show this one. It's a special one. It's Ram in mono. Came out a few years ago, and it's
And
great.
it's blank.
And this one has it's from the archive collection that has a bunch of other stuff.
Wait,
singles
look at
from
the move. Look at the.
It's called the gatefold inside.
I know, but it's mostly a drawing.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, Silky, do the honors. Number 1 best Beatles solo album of all times.
Which one's
Of all
the blank?
times. This is Up.
Dun dun dun.
John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band.
Is there a name on this?
It's just called John Lennon, Plastic Ono Band. I mean, it's just every bit as influential as Paul's first album, but you add to that how confessional, how honest, how painful the pain. I think John was going through primal scream therapy,
Look at that
Dr.
art.
Janoff at the time, so there was a lot of the screams were heartfelt. And even though it says it was produced by Phil Spector, that's not really true. It's really John who produced it himself. Ringo, great drumming, a great kind of claustrophobic sound to his drums in his album. And yeah, it's just the best Beatles solo album. So, Silky, any last words? Do you want to shout out to anybody again, or do you want to remind people to check out the last video and click subscribe or whatever they say you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
What do they say you're supposed to do? Click the subscribe button, the bell button. I don't know how it works.
Well, you're supposed to just go to the end and play a song, and those things show up.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Link!